All right, that means it's time to get the thing started here because we've got a one. I think it's working. All right,
Uno,
we've got a two.
dos.
I think the microphones are working too, so it's like,
Yeah,
all
that's what I was looking
right.
at. All right, all right. Minimal stuff broken off the bat.
Heck
Woo!
yes.
As Charlie Sheen would say, winning.
As long as machine keep working and doesn't jack up, so you have to fix it every time. It's going to be another
Man.
welcome back to the Truther Cast, home of the Truther Cast. We are here to take your truth order. And this week, I think we got a few more things than maybe the last week, so we'll be getting through those, man. But a long story short, the TLDR, man, is basically like what the thumbnail kind of says, man. Those crashing tariff seems to be the lies. And then, like the fraud purge is like, guess what? We found some voting fraud proof. And, some people kind of had some awareness this week to where
Eyes were open.
they realized Mr. Trump's not that bad of a guy.
Oh, you talking about Mr. Bill?
Mr. Bill, man.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you're joining us here for the first time, thanks for tuning on in. Stay around because we're going to be, going through last week's highlights and news informational tidbits that the Lamestream mainstream media may not have told you. They may have lied about, or completely just, did some other weird crap that I haven't made up yet or realized myself.
They do a lot of weird crap every week. They are never at a shortage of weird crap that they do.
And, we'll be going through the locals community here where it's a private styled kind of community. It is free to join, so it's not that private, but, you got to find it, right? And you find it by clicking on that link down at the bottom in the description box below, that locals.mass-.com. Free to join, cost money to engage. So if you want to comment on the crap I post, maybe Mr. Dan posted one or two a week, you could comment on that one, or maybe post some of your own. You could sign up for the Primo Squad and, save yourself a couple bucks. Use that promo code BetterNewsFeed to save yourself a couple dollars. And, it helps put a little kitty in the bank. How do you say that? I don't know how that one goes, right?
A little, what? Did you say a little kitty in the bank?
Not like kitty. What is it? Kiddie? You put $1 in the tip jar. That's how you do it, all right?
Don't become Diddy.
It helps keep the lights on around here. And then, you can join in on all the weekly informational news tidbits that you thought were kind of interesting. And then, we'll go through it and cover it on the following week's live show, which you are watching right now. Wow.
Whoa, it's live. Whoa.
So that's one way to spend money and support the show. But Dan loves telling you how to be frugal and how to, help the show out for free.
If you want to be a Jew about it, you hit that share button. And that gives you a pass of non-hoage.
We love helping people not be hoes around here by sharing the show, folks. So make sure to share this sucker out to a friend, a family member, or a foe. Maybe, someone in the middle. Maybe that's, looking for a little bit of awareness, because we really do believe that awareness brings realization around here, folks. I don't even think that's like a theory, dog. That's proven fact.
It's proven fact. And we don't discriminate. Your foe, your enemy, your neighbor, your best friend, your grandma, your daughter, your niece, your nephew. They all need to know.
They all need to know, man. And then a great way to do that is by sharing this show. Or, if you want to be a little bit more tactical, maybe they're not going to watch the show, or, you're going to send it to them and be like, skip to hour 1, 15 minutes in. The joining that locals feed, that locals community, the locals.mass-.com down below, that really helps, because when you go there, you can, find that news piece that we were talking about and then share that right over to them. So it acts as a really good, little box, put it in the box, of receipts and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So we love going through the receipts here, and, you got to spread that awareness, right, folks? So you can share those receipts out too, because we got a lot of good ones to go through.
Always, every week.
Tonight's going to be the best show, the best show we've ever had. Lots of receipts, folks. The greatest show anyone has ever seen in the world. Way better than all of the other shows. So you might want to stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, Mr. Trump, I heard you just can't take a joke, but now I have found out that you quite can.
Yeah, it turns out, man, he's like not really that bad of a person. We're gonna have
it's
Bill
almost
tell us
like
about
when
it.
you're the most influential figure on the planet, the most powerful country in the world, you kind of have to put a little, like, an act on. You don't want to look like a buffoon up there on stage. You got to be a person of, power and integrity. So the rest of the world that's following you, since you are the main leader of this world. Well, I was about to say it's free world, but it's not all free yet. If we keep fighting, we won't lose the freedoms that we still have. Hopefully get some back here. He's got to do, that's what you do as a leader.
Freedom.
You can't just
Truth.
let all your, softness out when you're
Responsitrilatrans.
responsitrilatrans. Yeah. Coin it. That's a new word.
I took it. I took it from Key and Peele.
The legends themselves.
The truth, folks, I can't lie. It seems like I cannot tell a lie. I'm like the best president since Abraham Lincoln, people tell me, because I can't tell lies.
I'd say being called the Truther Cast, that probably should be a stick of ours, that we can't lie.
Yeah, we're
not going to lie to you. We might be slightly biased sometimes if it's in the regard of the betterment for all of us. Mostly Americans.
I might be biased. I probably am, but probably sort of maybe biased when it comes to talking about Trump, because I really like his ideas. People tell me his ideas are very good, so I seem to
most of them
probably be very biased.
And I am here to be the rebuttaler, when he's riding the horse a little too much.
Yeah, what's your thing? Mine says Hopium Pusher. We haven't updated these for like 2 years.
I was gonna say, they're still the same, but I can't even remember what they are other than the Hopium.
Yours is
Ranter in Chief.
Oh, I guess, yeah. I didn't make you reality specialist. It was Ranter in Chief.
I feel like that changed at a point. I don't feel like that was the original
I might have changed it on you.
It took
a year and a half for you to see the joke.
You're right. Hey, it fits. It fits the bit.
I knew you wouldn't be able to deny it.
I'll ride with it. Yep,
because
I'd say that's kind of the highlight of me on the show sometimes. Definitely when I get into my rants.
Because I cannot tell a lie.
It doesn't happen often, but when I do, I am the best ranter. I rant the bestest.
I can go right back into because I cannot tell a lie. All right, that's enough jaw jacking here today for the intro. Please, if you are hanging out live, drop those comments down below, because we're going to get into this thing, folks. We're going to get into it here. We got the locals community. And this is what it looks like. It's like a social media feed. You can scroll through, look at thingies, right? You
can doom scroll all you want.
And it's not even doomful, because it's all great. There's no junk food media there, bro. It's curated for your
True. I
awareness.
guess the point of it being called doom scrolling is it doesn't get you anything at the end of it other than wasted time.
Right.
But here, you get awareness and realization. It's amazing.
Put an end to doom scrolling. Tell your friends.
We're going to coin it. If you go on the Mustache community of the locals, you get truth scrolling.
Oh, dang, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought up that one all by myself.
Scroll.
Come to the Truther Cast, get some truth scrolling in.
We're going to have to put that on the website with a little TM after it. So,
TM.
Okay, folks, I kind of curated these thingies together here for us this week. I had a moment waiting for Dan's late ass here today.
Yep.
But I wanted to start things out with the receipt you need for somebody that's still complaining about tariffs. Dan, we're not smart people, right? We're pretty regular.
I wouldn't say we're geniuses.
Yeah,
and we're smart cookies for what we are, but
we're
no Einstein.
This was the act anti-humble segment.
Other Einsteins to guide us in the ways. We just have wisdom about knowing which people are Einsteins and not Einsteins. We can smell the BS when it's there. Generally.
I just know a good idea when I see it.
I've been fooled once, but I have not been fooled twice, many times.
So right here, I just wanted to start out with a banger receipt for your friends, family, and fros that are still arguing about these tariffs. Check this out, and then let's check his math. you know.
This guy's got a good
And then,
breakdown, huh? Oh, look at him. He's wearing a Costco
I was gonna
shirt.
say, you know, he's a smart guy. He's got a Volcom hat on and a Costco shirt, bro. Amen, dog.
I dig the Volcom. That means he's
he
hip.
grew up in the thousands.
He's a hip, possibly skater guy. He probably skated on the old wood a time or two.
Yeah. And then he's frugal. He goes to Costco. Boom, boom, done.
I don't know if I'd say frugal, but he tries to make the most out of his buck.
And so, you know, this is obviously one of those like oversimplified kind of breakdown explanations, but here, let's check it out. See what you think.
Targeted by Trump's tariffs. And it's not the American consumers, and it's not the Chinese producers. It's actually our international corporations who have sold out American prosperity for their own profits. Let me illustrate. Let's use this example, Nike. Now, these are fictitious numbers, just for example. But let's say that Nike buys shoes from this company that manufactures Nike shoes for $10 a Nike shoe, which isn't very far off. Nike turns around and sells that shoe at retail for $100. Here's the interesting part about tariffs. You're not paying tariffs on the retail price. This is not a tax in the classic sense. The way the economists who are bought and paid for are trying to conflate it as, it is a tax on the import. This means with a 25% tariff, Nike's going to have to pay $2.50 to the US government every time it imports a Nike shoe at $10.
Did anybody know that? I'm dumb. And yeah, I assumed what all the alarm bells, scary, crappy peoples are saying. And it would be like a tariff on the price that I'm thinking of. Like
Oh, well, maybe they just skip in explaining it. They just do the straight fear mongering.
Of course.
Because allegedly, or if the company wanted to, you know, if they have to pay more for importing it, then they're going to have to charge more at the retail store for it since they lost money.
Jumping ahead.
So this 250 gets remitted to the American government, to American citizens. Now Nike's cost $10 for the shoe, $2.50 for the import tax. This means they're netting $87 per shoe. Now that's net, not profit. There are going to be other costs that are going to have to come from that. But
so there's the like, oh, pass it on to the consumer or something, right?
Yeah.
You can see that the increase in cost is $2.50. So let's say that Nike passes the entire cost onto the consumer, even a little more just because of the fear of tariffs. $103 a shoe now. That is the impact of a 25% tariff. So what the Chinese producers on TikTok are saying, instead of the American consumer buying it for $103, or let's just say that the company Nike eats all $2.50 of the tariff and still sells it for $100, you're way better off over here, paying directly to China, including the tariff, $12.50 a shoe plus shipping. So as you can see, the tariffs are not meant to hurt consumers. They're not meant to hurt China. They don't really affect China at all. They're meant to protect American industry. They're meant to protect Americans from their corporations who will sell them out for a profit. So if you look hard, you'll notice that the people who are screaming about how bad tariffs are for consumers, it's these companies right here. It's Wall Street. It's all the investors in these companies, because they don't want American citizens to realize these companies have sold them out and that they're not doing Americans any favors.
And hold up, wait a minute. I think what the man is saying, in other words, is Trump's technically taxing the rich.
Yo, that's a good one. I agree. That's one way to say that, bro.
Because now they directly have to pay more to the government. Right. It's not in taxes because they can avoid taxes through all the loopholes. Now they can't get out of it. They have to directly pay that import tariff tax.
And it's not China paying
I guess it's technically a tax. Tariff tax. I don't know if it'd be qualified. But either way, the corporations, the rich up top, they're making all the money. Now they can't get out of paying more money to the U.S. government.
Right.
Isn't it the liberals that are complaining about the rich should pay their fair share?
That's a good pitch, folks. What do you think?
That's kind of weird. I wonder why they're not saying it like that on the news,
Right.
on the lamestream mainstream media.
Because they're funded by the rich elite, the corrupt rich elite folks. They're very corrupt, the most corrupt.
It's almost like they have a whole bunch of stocks and they're really sad that they might lose some money on it.
Yeah.
And the only ones that actually lost money, well, the thing is they're probably on TV, they're crying about losing money. More than likely, they're not stupid since they're in the stocks. Anybody that actually knows how the stock market works with investing into it, if they obviously were the first people to know that this would have been happening. So guess what they probably did, which is part of the main reason why. What happened? Oh, the stock market crashed. Blah, and all the Democrats are on there crying like, oh, he crashed the stock market. You know why it crashed? Because all of them were selling their stocks because they knew that was at the highest it was going to be. And then it was going to go on sale real quick. And then, oh, what happened after a little bit? Like a week or two?
They bought it right back up.
Because what happened? The stocks skyrocketed back again. The market corrected itself, which has happened tens of times.
Like way more. Like it happens constantly.
Like in our lifetime.
Yeah. For
Like
sure,
in
for
our
sure.
lifetime.
Right.
At least 10 times.
Like large ones. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So they more than likely made money. They didn't lose. Everybody's like, my stocks are down 20%. Yeah. If you didn't sell to go reinvest, if you held your, investment, yes, it would have lost 20% in the meantime. But then all of a sudden you waited, you didn't freak out, you didn't sell it. Boom. It's still on the up.
So that's what's tricky too when they try to argue about like, oh, well, the elderly people that rely on their 401ks are going to be hurt by this or something. It's like, well, if this was like, and then kind of like, when they said like, what if Kamala, was the one doing the tariffs or something? It's like, well, that would be bad because she probably wouldn't. I wouldn't believe that she'd have a full plan for it to come back proper. Now, Mr. Trump, the businessman, I have a belief that he has a plan for it to come back. So it's like, oh, well, you're not like, day trading your freaking 401k, fam. So like, try not to freak out.
Also,
it's gonna come back. It's gonna level out here. That's what it does all the time.
Also, hop on eBay, Amazon. What you're gonna want to do is buy this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then also Cash Flow Quadrants, also by Robert Kiyosaki, and you will learn some important things like 401ks are garbage.
Yeah.
They're garbage.
Like
if you actually want, like, they're good for a simpleton.
Yeah.
If you want to minimally live on retirement and rely on Social Security and these other things to sustain you through the rest of your years.
I don't want to say garbage.
Other than that,
because it sounds mean, but like they're not very good.
they're only a tiny bit better performing than if you left your money in a CD account, which is absolute trash.
Yeah, those are absolute. There's garbage. There's absolute trash. Let me explain this. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good breakdown, folks, and you should definitely pull that one up. This was shared by a random person, Eric Jung.
Chinese producers are all
making its rounds around the old X. So I'm not sure the original man, Luke David Johnson. All right, but yeah, you can find this over here in the locals Mastache community, folks. So pull that one up, share it over to somebody who needs to understand, or just lock that mind bullet in there for your discussions and debates with people, because I don't think anybody understood. Duh, like most things. Once you hear it, you're like, oh, duh. The tax tariff thingy is on the original cost of importation before the upcharge retail price.
Yeah, people were making the Democrats make it sound like the 25% tax is on the retail price. Like, oh, if they're selling for 100, now they're going to be 125. But
right,
as he explained, it's on the import, which is they pay penny. Like, you guys, economics business 101 with selling products. You have a product very cheap, and then you up the price to then make an ROI on it. And that is what they're going to lose out on just a little bit, the ROI, because they're going to have another little expense in the manufacturing of said product, getting it to the shelf.
Then I also heard an argument where they're trying to say like, oh, with these tariffs, the iPhone would be like $1,700. And like part of me is like, dude, they're trying to make them like $1,700 already anyway. So that's
They're
inevitable.
already $1,500.
Right. And I've always said for a long time that not everybody should just have a flipping iPhone, bro. That's always been the creme de la creme high end shit.
That's the main
Why the hell
thing.
does everybody deserve to afford $1,000 phone?
Samsungs are also pricey, but
they're the same thing.
I was gonna say they are an overseas manufacturer as well. Is Samsung what, Korean?
Korean,
yeah. Either way, I don't know. Maybe some smart cookie out there needs to that is good with designing things and putting things together and has maybe make a couple connections with some people that know how to run businesses. And then since we're gonna have chips made here in America through the best chip company in the world, oh, maybe somebody gets together and they just start a new company of an American-made phone.
My point is that maybe you need a mid-range phone. So like get the phone that was like $300-400 that's now $500. You're gonna be fine, kiddo. Like you don't need the ballinest, most fanciest, fastest ass phone.
Yeah, I love seeing these 57-year-olds with iPhone 16 Pro Maxes or whatever number that the iPhones are at now.
Completely a waste of money.
Yeah, they never gonna put it to the full potential.
And all it is marketing status symbol, and it drives me bonkers.
And you know,
I hate the status
and the majority of it is a camera. That's what they're paying for. The camera and like
the camera's fine in the mid-range phone, bro.
Yeah. The camera is leaps and bounds better than what they were used to decades ago.
I hope people get like the 1 to 2 year old phone for like, $100 to $300-400 cheaper, and it's totally fine.
Or you could like be cool and actually get a DSLR.
Yeah.
You could get a mid-range phone and actually you can get a really good one for like just a couple $100.
But the lens is like $1,000.
Oh, and see, if you want to be a frugal guy like me, you can hop on Marketplace, and there's deals going on these bad boys all day long. You can get a secondhand one; they're totally fine. And then you can take way better pictures than any of these phones even do, and more. Like you're gonna have a lot more fun.
No one wants to carry it around nowadays, right? That's it's like a.
I was gonna say, start a new hobby.
I want the
instead of just being because you're gonna be on your phone, you go into the camera. And all of a sudden, you're going to do that thing we're talking about. You're going to doom scroll, and you're going to waste half your day away. You could have this cool camera. You could, like, learn how to use it. It would become a whole new hobby. And all of a sudden, like, you could talk about it with your family. You got all these things to talk about with your friends and family, this and that. It'd be a whole adventure.
Hashtag put your phone down. All right, so now we can get into the first thematic scheme here, folks. So
I'm gonna go invest in Canon
now. We're gonna talk about things that make the different sides of political ideologies angry or mad, and then things that are done because of that. Okay. So right now we've got right-sided, right-wingy, like freedom-loving peoples. About 0 things done in the name of freedom and Trump. Like people are trying to argue that January 6th was done for Trump when I could argue against that, and then there's facts about that too,
Yeah.
And that nobody died except our people, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Well, did you hear
depending who you ask.
Today,
the brainwashed or the non-brainwashed.
Somebody just firebombed Josh Shapiro's house.
Oh,
with him and his family sleeping in it at 2 a.m.
Wow.
And
that totally sounds like a feasible thing to do.
And the person is
not violent at all.
Then the person's a self-proclaimed registered socialist and posts about left-leaning ideologies. So my point here,
I couldn't have guessed that ever.
I don't want to assume or anything, but the things that make us angry, we got a few of those right here, leading up to the Josh Shapiro story here, and we still don't do anything about it, folks, except logical debate. We vote the guy in, like
we'll see.
We're fighting with words and truth and voting and order of government.
That's what we have to do.
Yeah.
And we choose. Well, we don't have to. We choose to do it,
right?
Because if it really comes down to it, the left side would never survive. Like they think basically they don't know, but they think they're the party of like power showing violence right now. The the right side is the warrior in a garden, like saying,
Right.
like Joe Rogan likes to bring up. I'd rather like better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Right.
Because if you have to, you can definitely do some things. And we are showing as much restraint as humanly possible before basically being the corrective dad and saying, you know what? You've disobeyed too many times. It's time for a spanking.
I like how Jordan Peters says it, is everybody has to have a monster in them, because if you don't
That's
have a
another
monster
good one.
and you don't do anything about it, is that really, virtuous?
Virtuous, that's the word.
And
Yep.
so, if you don't have the ability to stop somebody from doing something or hurt them, and you don't do it, it's not virtuous because you couldn't do it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But if you do have the ability to stop somebody from doing something bad by hurting them, and you choose not to, or the grade of hurting them to, just stop them, that's actually virtuous because now you have control of something that you could have did.
Yep.
So that one's interesting to me. So we got Mr. Schumer here in 2017. That's a long time ago, folks. That's like 8 years, right?
The cheesy Chuck Schumer.
Slamming Trump here for not keeping his campaign promise in 2016 to retaliate against China for its unfair trade practices. Based on his campaign rhetoric, you'd think President Trump would be tougher as China steals our family jewels. They steal our balls? I don't get it. Senate Democrats will be sending a letter. Rawr, Mr. Schumer says. Trump hadn't yet tariffed China. And by the way, folks, he did tariffs in the first term. That didn't happen for a few more months. Therefore, Schumer and other Democrats were outraged, almost as outraged as they are right now after Trump hits with new tariffs. So, like, absolute Democratic hypocrisy as usual, folks.
You can't satisfy them.
Nope, you can't, because they're hypocritical beyond all recognition. But another damn good receipt, if you ask me. So that the Democratic hypocrisy pisses us off, right? You know what else pisses me off? All these exposés that Ms. Loomer finds exposing the evil bad guys. So Laura Loomer says here, not only did we catch the left bussing in protesters, proving that the protests yesterday were not organic, talking about the Tesla protest, I believe, but we also exposed that the agents registered to the bus are Chinese and Muslim.
Yeah.
As I have been documenting over the last few weeks, many of the protest organizers of these radical left protests where communist imagery is being displayed are Chinese. Many of the attendees of those protests are militant Muslims with Hamas flags and Al-Qaeda brigade flags. Wake Up America, Chinese jihadist Muslims have teamed up to create chaos in our country. The Islamic militants on U.S. soil need to be deported, and we need to crack down on student visas from China.
But free Palestine.
So
from the river to the sea.
Yeah, like we said, bro, like our side.
Yeah, okay, sure. Like, do that. And then you step outside when they're marching down the street, like, I'm so happy for you. And then watch the spear or the bullet, whatever it is, from their hand just spill you on the street because they hate your guts.
Yeah, that's what's tough about trying to be peaceful, bro. You still have to protect yourself and know when to, like, turn that on.
I mean, we do. They don't.
Like, you can't be peaceful until someone hurts you, murders you.
And you know what? Darwinism is a hell of a thing.
Yeah. So, this is kind of upsetting, right? But no, man, we hope to God that our side stays strong and, does not fight back with, ridiculous behaviors and, violence. We try to, not do violence.
We leave that for the absolute last resort.
Right.
Unlike as the left do, they basically
go there immediately.
Yes. I wouldn't say immediately. They first have a hearing about it, and they have a speech.
And they bitch and whine about it.
They have a speech that I'd say insinuates everybody to do a certain thing, kind of like they say Trump did on the 6th. Except he said, go peacefully when the left is like, go trash his places, burn his stock to the ground. Yeah, okay, that sounds really peaceful.
Like Maxine Waters.
The party of peace and love.
Like
oh yeah, that
Waters,
totally makes sense.
when she says if you see a MAGA supporter at a restaurant,
yeah,
give him hell.
give
like,
him hell. Let him have it.
Let him have it. Like,
okay, so first off, you could say that's inciting violence, and because I mean, people are idiots. How are they going to take that? Most people would say give him hell is like give him a knuckle sandwich.
well, we say fight like hell, and we mean that not to be violent.
I mean, the only thing they know how to run is their mouth, for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
So another thing that upsets us that we do not resort to violence for, we try to share these things, folks, to bring awareness. So join that locals.massstash.com down in the description box down below so you can pull this one up and share it out, folks. If you got an X account, I'm at MassStash on X. You can follow me there and help share the word as well, because this one makes me really pissed off, bro. So if you're not familiar, the TLDR, right, on the Alex Jones thing was like, he talked about Sandy Hook and stuff, and then they took him to court, and they told him he owed like $1 billion to these families.
yeah.
Then they tried to cheat the government ruling and not open, sell the company on an auction, and they sneakily sold it to a company that was being funded by the bad guys so that they could try to steal the Alex Jones network from him, the Info Wars that's highly successful, like 20 years in running or something like that. So Alex Jones ended up winning and kept his company. And then he lives another day to expose, here are the receipts proving that the DOJ funded millions through Sandy Hook organizations to silence him in InfoWars. That's absolutely bonkers. So this is fascism, folks. This is the government weaponizing our tax money, paying private organizations, so government colluding with private organizations, and then attacking our loudest mouthpieces for exposing the corruption of said government. That's insanity. This makes my blood boil, bro.
Darn close to communist dictatorship practices.
It's literally that. It's just the only thing different is they didn't just tell you.
The only thing different is they didn't just kill him.
Touche. Two things. They
That
didn't
would have
tell you
been
and they didn't
that.
just knock
He
him
would have
out.
disappeared, and then we never would have heard from him again. That would have been straight communism, I'd say.
Bonkers. And this is like, what? Almost $1 million of multiple payouts? So they were paying the Sandy Hook Foundation to fund these parents going after him, bro. That's bonkers. And also, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff to get into the weeds, folks. Look this one up. Ask us questions if you want anything specific. But he was also not allowed to say specific words that would have like helped like aid him in his defense in the case. Like, I don't understand how you do that. So like, hey, you're gonna go to court. It's supposed to be, like the judicial system.
I have evidence that you can't use that evidence.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
That sounds totally like bullshit.
Yeah, that's not like, what is it? The rights to fair trial, peers and Babadoo.
Yeah, definitely doesn't seem to fit that right to a fair trial clause at all.
Funding at least $4 million to Sandy Hook plaintiffs in government-backed effort to silence Alex Jones and end free speech using our effing tax dollars. Oh, this is bonkers.
The amazing thing is, think about how much these people would do if they didn't have the money of us to use.
I know, right, man? Like, they just keep blowing our tax money, dude.
Like, would they do anything by themselves on their own dollar? No. And that should tell you something, because you know who does do things on his own dollar?
Elon Musk.
And Trump.
And Daddy Trump.
Trump doesn't take the salary. He donates it.
Mm-hmm.
His presidential salary every year.
Who do you say that he was going to pay him if like they weren't going to be taken care of? Shit, I forget now. It was like 2 weeks ago. He was signing EOs, and he was like, "Yeah, and if they don't get paid, I'll pay it."
I missed that. Or I like kind of.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember
I can't remember who it was,
what the
but
heck it
yeah.
would've been.
He uses his own pocket change,
He's
folks.
paid multiple different people out of his own pocket.
Yep, and we'll get to Good Daddy Trump in just a moment.
Kind of like I believe the widow that was of the man that got shot at his assassination attempt. Yeah, pretty sure he paid for everything on her end out of his own
I would
pocket.
bet he took care of everything he possibly could that would be within legal possibility. Yeah. So next thing that pisses me off, and we don't drive to absolute ridiculous violent means like the leftist crazy people do. So there's a whistleblower, a fresh new one. Okay. And guess what, folks? The tinfoil hatters were right. They were right.
You know what I keep noticing? There's a pattern here.
There's a pattern.
All the girls on the Republican side that are whistleblowers and trying to bring the truth in fruition, they're all
easy on the eyes.
They're all blondies. Oh, blondies or dirty blondes.
So I said, if Facebook Meta is lying about deals with Chinese communists revolving around AI, does sound like something we should be giving more attention to, because they were posting here and they're like, hey, dog, why is this not the #1 thing we're talking about in America right now? Check this out.
My name is Sarah Wynne-Williams, and I served as the Director of Global Public Policy at Facebook, now Meta, for nearly 7 years, starting in 2011. Throughout those 7 years, I saw Meta executives repeatedly undermine U.S. national security and betray American values. They did these things in secret to win favor with Beijing and build an $18 billion business in China. We are engaged in a high-stakes AI arms race against China. And during my time at Meta, company executives lied about what they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party to employees, shareholders, Congress, and the American public. I sit before this committee today to set the record straight about these illegal and dangerous activities. Meta's dishonesty started with the betrayal of core American values. Mark Zuckerberg pledged himself a free speech champion. Yet I witnessed Meta work hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to construct and test custom-built censorship tools that silenced and censored their critics.
You don't say.
I'm totally baffled.
You don't say.
Never would have thought.
Wait, that sounds like something we've been hearing about, and just we're like looking for that smoking gun to like prove. They just kind of go where the dollar is, or they're like, co-opted to do that or something. But censorship is definitely a big thing of theirs. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Mark. I thought you were going all like on the whole manly.
Oh, this is all before that. That's kind of what she was getting at. Was
right.
like, now
guess
he
this
says
was
he's free
years back.
speech,
Yeah.
but like, So next one that kind of drives me bonkers. Are you ready for this BS, bro? So do you ever wonder why the anti-gun movement gets so much money and how they get it and where they get the money from? I don't know, folks.
It better not be our tax dollars. God dang it.
It's a coincidence, Dan, that as soon as DOGE shuts down the USAID, which is our tax dollars, that all of a sudden this March for Our Lives organization stops getting Act Blue donations. So if you don't understand yet, the USAID that just got shut down was a government, like non-government organization that got all of our government money. They were giving it to Act Blue in donations, and then Act Blue was giving it to the March of Our Lives anti-gun control, or anti-gun, aka gun control group, who's led by David Hogg, who is a popular personality of leftist nature.
He ain't popular, but he's somewhat known on the left side.
Okay,
as the new guy on.
I thought he was like pretty popular.
That's me racking on him.
Bet. But yeah, he's a leftist shill.
A lot of people don't know him, like compared to Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi and names like that.
I'm saying like more internet personality, like
Well,
when you're into it or whatever.
with the youngins that
Right,
are off the
right,
deep end, yeah, they love David Hogg
right.
because he's young and on their side. He's he's got his head on straight
Straight up
since
his arse. But yeah, no, this drives me absolutely bonkers because now literally our tax money is funding this gun control group without us knowing about it, dog. Like if we're gonna donate money to like the gun control group and the pro gun group and let them debate it out, that sounds like freedom in
I
America.
love how they tried masking it like it was only left-sided Democratic money through the Act Blue too. But we come to find out it was even people that love guns. Guess what? Your money was going to take your guns away from you.
Right. Your own tax money was trying to strip you of your Second Amendment and one may say God given right to defend yourself with pew pews.
Yep.
Drives me absolutely bonkers.
That is some BS.
And then another thing that drives me crazy is when we find more evidence about voter fraud, folks, because Arizona is to begin removing up to 50,000 non-citizens from the voting records because there was a new judgment finding that I believe what it did was it found out that I don't know if it was the governor or some judge was allowing multiple thousands of criminal aliens to be under one social security and then get that registered to vote for all of them.
That just totally makes sense. And this is why they're going through you have to have a passport to vote in the future type deal. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, that was a little bit of the talk thing. They're trying to say the real ID, and now Thomas Massey is trying to put it out there and ring the alarm bells that it has nothing to do with voting.
Yeah, the Democrats are saying, oh, they're trying to weed out people for only the rich can vote because they got to get a passport, blah, blah. How about if you can afford a passport, guess what that means? You probably are hardworking and know what's going on in America and understand the system. And so if you can, it's just weeding out the bullshit of people being able to vote. Because if you don't have any money to buy a passport, aka you soak government welfare up, and you don't do anything for society, and you just sit there and soak up all the benefits, why should you have a say for what our tax dollars do when you don't contribute? But somebody that can buy a passport, more than likely, obviously contributing with their tax dollars, which is how it used to be. If you paid taxes, you were allowed to vote. That's why women at a point weren't allowed to vote because they were all at home. They didn't have a job. They didn't pay taxes. So
Which now they're trying to make the argument that the SAVE Act that says the rules of like voting or something is trying to say that like if the IDs don't match your name, you can't vote. So like, or Nancy Pelosi was saying this. She said, my name used to be Nancy Blue, and now it's Nancy Pelosi. So like, what would I do, folks? How would I vote? And it's like, dude, I'm pretty sure it's not that. Like, I don't know. Maybe you're right, crazy Nancy, but yeah, no.
And guess who cares?
You're gonna be able
None
to
of
vote.
us. We don't want you to vote.
Well,
not because she's a woman, because she's Nancy Pelosi herself.
The boy is
the best stock trader of the year, time after time after time.
Time after time. The ploy is, it's going to stop married women from voting, and it's like, yeah, I highly doubt that, man. That wouldn't fly.
Before women come at me like, oh, well, you say women shouldn't vote? Like, no, obviously they can now because they contribute and everything. Back then, well, what you got to understand why at the point is if you don't pay taxes, you shouldn't be able to vote, is it goes to a fundamental thing of our country, which a lot of people don't understand, is we're not only a country, the United States of America is a corporation. AKA, if you understand what a corporation is, that means it's a business entity. As you know, all this talk with GDP and we produce and we got to put tariffs on things, we have taxes. That only happens because it's a business.
Yep.
So you got to understand how businesses work, or then you to steer how it's basically like you could look at it like this. If you own stock in a company and you own enough, that means you have a say. You're on the board. You get to have a say in what the company does. You pay taxes into the system to the corporation. You are a board member. You have a say in what happens with the company. If you don't invest in the company, you can't
Say shit.
Yeah. Thank you. That was
That's how it
you
works.
found the words I was trying to say. Uh-huh.
I 100% agree, man. And then
it's just people, that some people don't realize that that's how it is,
yeah.
They never get told. See,
Well, and then what's
metaphors and comparing things to different things is the only way people sometimes realize.
Oh, I love doing that.
And
I hit a guy.
And guess what? They're never going to tell you that. What happens in school? They tell you to Robert Kiyosaki again, go read the book. Go learn how to be a good worker at school and get a job, pay your taxes. That's what they want you. They don't want you to realize how to empower yourself.
Yep. 100%.
They just want you are a worker bee to have you heard that we have, we're trillions of dollars in debt? So who pays that debt? What pays it first off? Let's go with that. Taxes. Okay. So how do we get taxes in the system? Oh yeah. You and me, we pay taxes. Workers. What does that mean? We're a bunch of go watch Bug's Life. Go watch A Bug's Life. That'll tell you everything.
The next thing that drives me absolutely bonkers, I want to know who the handler was, bro. The DOJ revealed that Trump assassin Ryan Ruth, attempted assassin Ryan Ruth, tried to buy military weapons from Ukraine to take out Trump, including a rocket launcher. Ruth asked the Ukrainian military for a Stinger or RPG to take out Trump because Trump would be bad for Ukraine. So, the DOJ knew this, like, totally after, right?
This dude was trying to real life Call of Duty it.
Yeah, man. And then, like, when this all came out, it came out immediately that he'd been to Ukraine and he was talking with Ukrainian people and was like a big Ukraine supporter. And this is why we get upset, folks. This is why we are all mad at how insane the news is right now. How insane the propaganda is to rile people up, because you get things like what is it? Luigi Mangione taking out the CEO guy.
Like, yeah.
You got people trying to attack Trump. Then you got the guy hitting Josh Shapiro today. Like,
and no, the Ukraine thing is horrible. It sucks for the Ukrainians. And what's happened? Guess what started I can't say the whole thing, but the straw that broke the camel's back? I don't know, maybe your favorite guy of the past 4 years, a.k.a. Big Joe. Yeah, blowing up a pipeline that was feeding Russia its money and sending oil under some oceans to some other people. Yeah, Putin's not stupid, and he knew Biden did it. So he said, well, screw you. I'm going to go piss over the fence over here. Since you're going to take some resources for me, I'm going to go get some over here.
Not to mention the United States telling Zelensky to not sign the peace deal.
Imagine if Biden had not done that, if he hadn't poked the bear. Would any of this horrible crap in Ukraine even have started?
Imagine if we didn't tell Zelensky to not sign the peace deal.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened either, bro.
Yeah.
So that all leads us here, folks, to the today's headline. So all of those things are happening, and a lot of us now on the libertarian to rightish, conservative-y, alt news side, we all know these things, right? But we don't take violent action. And that's because we're right now, maybe it wasn't always this way, right? But right now we are like the side of morals and values. Maybe both of the sides used to have morals and values, but God bless, bro. So now we got these lefties who are full extremists, and then they're, pushed and incentivized by this new culture that's fed and fueled by the wacko propaganda lamestream media, bro. And they're all fueled by this. So this guy apparently just tried to firebomb Josh Shapiro's house, man. Here, let's hear Tim break it down.
It's a horrifying story. Over the weekend, we heard the governor of Pennsylvania, Democrat Josh Shapiro's home was firebombed, and it looks totally destroyed. He was sleeping inside the building with his wife, with his children. He was fortunately able to evacuate. It's now being reported by Andy No in the Post Millennial that the man named in this case, Cody Balmer, has expressed support for leftist ideologies as well as declared himself a registered socialist. I can't say I'm surprised. Now, some have speculated the motive for this attempted assassination of the Pennsylvania governor was that the state auctioned off some of this man's property. It is early. We don't know for sure exactly why this is happening or why this happened just yet. But beyond this one...
Hold on.
Speak of irrational.
Wait, the state auctioned off the guy that firebombs property? Correct. I wonder why. I can't imagine the socialists thought it should probably just be given to him and paid for, and like he didn't have to like pay for. I mean, like, I get you. Property taxes are dumb the way it's set every year. Like, if you get smarter, there's ways around that. Second off, like, wow, yeah.
I wonder what the story is of the socialist man.
I can't imagine he was behind on his taxes.
Yeah.
And then somebody bought the tax lien, and either or
he didn't pay it still.
Yeah, it sounds like he didn't pay it, and so it went up for auction. Which
Yeah.
I think it goes up for. Did the guy? Now, see, I think it only goes up for auction because whoever buys the tax lien on the or puts the tax lien on the property, other than the state, if nobody bought it, because the state has control of the tax lien first.
Right.
Not everybody buys a tax lien because they probably seen because that more than likely means the condition of the house was shit.
Yeah.
And the taxes were high.
Yeah.
So buying that would not be a good investment.
Yeah.
So what the tax lien investors do is they go, yeah, state, you can hold on to that one and take the loss.
Yeah.
We're good. We're going to take the ones that make money. This one's going to be a loss because if he pays $30,000 in back taxes and the house is worth $30,000,
right?
There's no point in doing that.
It's harder to make profit. Yeah.
Yeah, impossible. So you actually end up losing on the thing. Okay, real estate, side course teaching, done.
And then also irrational. I'm gonna go bomb the governor for this.
He took my house away because I didn't do shit.
He is the entire state.
Daddy didn't buy me and let me have my house and pay for it to get fixed and everything else. I am mad. I'm going to retaliate because instead of going and doing something productive.
Not just the retaliation, bro. I'm going to hit the governor because of the state's rules. Like, he running the state right now, but I don't think he had much to do with this whole auction thing, man.
Unless you're JB Pritzker, you don't just bully the state around.
Well,
moment with this individual Cody Balmer, I can say this is the Luigi Mangione effect. We had another story emerge over the past several days in which a man murdered his family in an effort to steal the funds so he could pursue the assassination of Donald Trump. It's getting worse.
What?
We already saw on Colbert. They joked and laughed at the idea.
What did he say?
You didn't catch that?
Oh.
We already saw on Colbert. They joked to steal the funds so he days in which a man murdered his family in an effort to steal the funds so he could pursue the assassination of Donald Trump.
Some man ended the lives of his entire family to try and get the money to go hurt Donald Trump.
So he...
That's bonkers.
I'm guessing they put life insurance on these people, and then they,
like take all the things they owned
all
or
of a
the money
sudden,
they had, whatever.
right?
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Now that is off the deep end.
Right.
That is absolutely loony. And
Getting
like,
worse.
totally peaceful and loving.
We already saw on Colbert. They joked and laughed at the idea of the Tesla terror attacks. Jimmy Kimmel, much the same. In fact, his joke was essentially telling people to engage in violence and terror. And on The Daily Show, Jordan Klepper, when he showed all of the violence against Tesla dealerships and owners, which have not stopped, the audience laughed and cheered. We called the Mangione effect.
Oh.
We
Yep. It's the whole inciting people to violence all subtly, bro.
I would like to say one thing that I don't know for sure, but one thing I have been wondering for a while, because I'll see snippets of the shows every once in a while, basically like through other people going over the shows.
That night show thing.
Yeah. How often do they show the audience?
Yeah, not
Think
very often
about
at all.
that.
Not very often at all.
How do we know that they actually have a audience in the first place, and that they're actually, it's a show, it's Hollywood.
Oh, it gets fugazied very often.
I guarantee half the time he says a joke and then they like hit a pre-recorded laugh button.
No, they have like the applause sign, so then people are obligated to applause because they're part of the live studio audience.
Orf. Sign told me to orf.
Precisely.
Yeah. But brain hurts.
It's like an ice cream headache without the ice cream, folks. So that was my example of, the left is ridiculously violent. And when something gets them angry, not only does, I don't want to be biased, right? But very often the thing they're angry about is wildly ignorant, incorrect, and childish. And then they go out and act violently, and it's absolutely abhorrent. And then when us truthers over here are trying to just spread the words of truth about how, we're getting screwed over by the deep state, evil bad guy, conspiratorial government bad guys. We're not acting in violence, folks. We just say, hey, spread the word louder, pray to God, help others. And, let's try to stop this stuff through, voting, let your voice be heard and, tell your neighbor about stuff and protect yourself if any of these wacko lefties try to come hurt you, your family, or your friends.
Yep.
But no, we're not going out and, inciting more violence or, actually doing violence to people. There's a far lesser percentage of that. And I don't see the stories, folks.
Oh, the most recent one where they're trying to say that we're violent. Did you see the one occurrence with the hands-off protests? This guy, allegedly, I haven't seen the video, or I don't even know if there is a video other than just the pictures. This guy got out to get in these people's faces, as they said, which, who knows, is probably just like about as, at the 6-foot distance bubble.
Within the COVID bubble?
It had to have been a little closer, I guess, at one point. And he was basically, there was a whole mob of them, and he went by his lonesome, unarmed and everything, just to basically tell them that they're fools, probably. I mean, in other words, or maybe in those exact words, that they're fools, but trying to educate them on the truth. And they didn't like it. A very single soul individual headbutted the guy, nose all bloody, possibly broken. So guy used words. Other side didn't like the words, and then headbutted him to where blood was gushing from his nose. And then since he now sees that not like one individual chose violence instead of just protesting, which is the best part. Hands off protest. What did they just do? They definitely just put their hands on somebody.
He used his head, but yeah.
Right? Yeah. I know. Yeah, I can't say it.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, that's exactly what they'd say.
Right.
I didn't put my hands on him. It was my head. Like, oh yeah, totally makes it better.
Like when your brother's being a jerk and he's like, I'm not touching
Yeah.
you.
You think you're smart? Oh, Judge, it wasn't my hands. It was my head. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally get it. Case over. There's totally no assault now. Everybody, assault has to be with the hands. The head doesn't count.
So that means no gun violence exists.
Well, so like they're trying to say,
Didn't touch him with my hand.
got all violent because the dude then went to his car to get an AR pistol, and because obviously
He gonna show him how FAFO works?
One, he has balls like, okay, so obviously since you all might now, like, one did it, I can't trust that the rest of all you and your friends, since we know that y'all are loony together and we've seen the BLM protests, how you guys do mob action, I'm going to have this thing with me now while I talk with you still, and still not punch you back, not point it at you, have it so you know not to assault me again, and we can still try to have this conversation. And they are saying he's the bad guy.
Yep.
And they also make excuses for the assault. Oh, you shouldn't have gotten in his face. That doesn't give you the right to assault somebody.
Well, that's the other big debate is that kid that killed the other kid. So it's a young black kid killed a young white kid.
Yeah.
And it was allegedly self-defense, but allegedly they were just having like a, heated discussion or something, but he was like, touch me and find out. And so like allegedly the white kid touched him, then he stabbed him in the freaking chest and killed him.
He was basically doing when you can't just punch them. So if they won't leave the area and you ask them to leave, what else can you do other than like basketball? You're pulling you're making a pick. Like you don't assault them, but you move them.
Right.
And he was trying to move the kid, and that after that, the kid was like, "Don't you put your hands on me." And then did you see that somebody, this is how nasty the leftists are. They had somebody Photoshop up a fake autopsy report on the white kid saying that they tried giving him the excuse with the George Floyd thing. Yep. They faked an autopsy that the kid had Molly in his system. And so but here's the best part of it.
For real?
Yeah. Yeah, it's out there. There's a fake autopsy report saying that the kid had Molly in his system. Okay. Let's just say he did.
Even more of a reason not to stab a bro, man. Like he just tripping, dog.
Okay. First off, the Molly is why he died. It wasn't the knife hole in his chest to the heart.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have been fine if he didn't have Molly in his system because he had a knife hole in his heart.
That's like saying weed killed you, bro.
I mean, it still doesn't give you the excuse to use lethal force. Lethal force. That a knife can be lethal.
Well, that's what's also annoying is like I hate doing the like because color matters thing. So it's like, and then, doing the, what if it was the other way around? But it's like, yeah, it'd be like a lot different.
I mean, yeah, which is dumb
Everybody
in itself.
be losing their minds.
Yeah, which is a whole nother thing to talk about.
And then not only would it just be like, he was a bad kid, but it'd be like, he's a racist kid.
Yeah, yeah. Hot word. We are not winning the argument. You're racist.
Yeah.
Racist.
Absolutely
First off,
bonkers.
y'all don't understand the difference between the word prejudice and racist.
I mean, how many times we gotta say that every week?
But yeah, they literally manufactured a fake autopsy report.
That's wild.
That's how low they are. They first off, whoever the digital forensic guys that found the deleted FBI files, y'all should do a little digging into tracing who made that fake autopsy report, and you should lawsuit and sue the crap out of them, because that's, if anything, like, I think some possible defamation. That's really shitty for the family.
Right.
Really shitty.
Right. Well, it's also like,
Disrespectful as hell.
it's also like making fake evidence. That's got to be a thing. I don't know which one that's.
I would believe
that's
that
like
would be
tampering
like
with evidence, but like
tampering, if not
like maybe under that category.
falsifying evidence.
Falsifying evidence. That's the word.
Giving a false police report.
Yeah, falsifying evidence. I think.
I believe those are
there.
all felonies.
Yeah, I'd say so. Probably.
Federal time, not just jail time. Fetty time. Straight to prison. A loose butthole.
So, kind of like Mr. J.D. Vance, this Stephen Miller guy is really getting on that list of the more he talks, the more I like him. So this dude this guy's getting on the list of politicians
this guy's moments on
that shut down the Lamestream media like a gangster.
This guy's bringing mainstream media back. Because he goes on there and he kills it every time.
This guy, check this out.
Gentlemen, the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Stephen, we're not going anywhere. On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
My question is, how do you know that he's a member of M13? The White House has repeatedly said, according to intelligence.
According to our government and his government. In other words, his government has confirmed based on their own intelligence that he's a member of MS-13. First of all, do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
What's that?
Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
He
went through the legal process. So I want to be very. What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that?
Stephen, can I ask, as a matter of policy, does the administration believe that immigration judges, because they're under DOJ, that their orders can be overruled by what the administration wants? Is that a general matter of policy?
Well, actually, so specifically, the Attorney General has authority to overrule the immigration courts, and that's actually by statute, yes. Other questions?
Stephen, on the gold card, the President and Secretary Lutnick have suggested they're lining up applicants already. How many people do you expect to be tagged to this program when the President announces it this week, if he actually announces it this week?
I'll let Secretary Lutnick provide that update, but I appreciate that.
The White House administration is going to report 1 million undocumented people.
Oh, yeah, dude. Nobody likes a gotcha, bro, man. They got all rustly bustly in their panties right there, man. Golly.
I just like how he basically is like, I'm not even going to waste my time explaining these things unless you can tell me the difference of this bullshit you're talking about.
And if that one didn't make sense and get through to the person that you are sending these receipts to, folks, from joiningthelocals.massdash.com in that link description docs down below, or following me at massdash on the X, you can find all these thingies over there. But share these out to the people you need to know, or that need to know it. And if that one doesn't work, you can have, what's his name? Bukele? Mr. President Bukele. You can have him explain it.
Do you plan to return? Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to be not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
Is there a louder version of this one? Let's just see if Bukele will pull up. Might be too quiet for the feed here.
We know that you have a crime problem, a terrorism problem that you need help with. And we're a small country, but if we can help, we will do it. And we actually turned the murder capital of the world, that was the journalists call it, right? Murder capital of the world, into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And, you know, sometimes they say that we imprisoned thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions. So, you know, like...
It's very good. Who gave him that line? Do you think I can use that?
Yes. And in fact, Mr. President, you have 350 million people to liberate. Yeah. But to liberate 350 million people, you have to imprison some. You know, that's the way it works, right? You cannot just, you know, free the criminals and think crimes.
That's not the one. Yeah, this one's just so quiet. Let's see if we...
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him?
The news anchor asked, like, so are you going to return the guy back to the United States? He's like, how could I do that? Are you asking me to smuggle an illegal person into the United States? Like
into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it.
Of course, I'm not going to do that. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
I don't have the power.
I don't have the power to do that. I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital?
I'm in the locking up criminal business. I ain't in the releasing criminals business. And unless you prove the man's wrongfully criminalized,
and
ain't nobody getting released.
Instead of me having them locked up, I think it'd be better if I try to ship them back to America to empty my prison. Like, I'm sure they're not at capacity. Even if they are, they'll just squeeze it like, you know, they're prisoners. You just put another sardine in the can.
Did he just call the news people sick?
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, you know, released into our
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the people...
Can't hear it. Trump just pointed at the news media. They would love to have a criminal released into the country. They're sick. They're sick people. And points at the news people.
This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point.
That's why there's the judicial branch and the executive.
No court.
So if the first one didn't burn through their nougat there to that person he was trying to help come up with some awareness, maybe Mr. Bukele in what's his name, Mario?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio, yeah. He'll explain it to him another way. Guy illegal.
Let's cut the pizza this way and see if you like these slices or understand that it's a pizza.
So are you going to release that criminal alien guy from the holy cow max security prison that'll keep him there and not do bad things back in the United States to let him go free willy-nilly to do... How about no?
What the would be the point of that?
They're sick people. That's the point, Daniel. They want criminals to reign free and to do bad things.
We want those criminals here so they can vote on our side because, like, we love criminals doing criminal stuff because we are criminals. As you can see, we firebomb, houses, and we like to set other storefronts ablaze. And
George Soros gave me this money and told me to create chaos.
We go around vandalizing people's Teslas because, we were just told to, and it's like the fun, cool, new hip thing. I just like to vandalize Teslas because I got nothing else going on in my day.
Ridiculous. Okay. So this week does have some more juicy drops here for us because juicy drops. Somehow that kind of alliterates, even though the letters are different, but somehow the sounds you make with your mouth are somewhat similar. I love alliteration. Alliteration is great, folks. Whistleblower emails proving the conspiracy to character assassinate Trump. What do you know? Another thing that makes us frustrated around here, folks, but we do not believe in inciting violence. We believe in inciting awareness, folks. So just incite some awareness by sharing something in their DM box. So we've got the King Solomon reports. Whistleblower emails confirm a criminal conspiracy between the Biden White House, the FBI Washington Field Office, prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., and Jack Smith to plan, approve, and execute Arctic Frost with the intent to frame, arrest, prosecute, and imprison the Donald J. Trump. Operation Arctic Frost formed the basis of Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, which was Trolley's favorite person. Trolley's missing tonight.
Yeah, he's
Trolley
MIA.
loved Jack Smith. He thought he was going to take Trump down single-handed.
He's probably Jill, Jack, and Smith in it.
Very likely. False elector case under which President Donald Trump was later charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States for his campaign's attempts to assemble alternate states of electors, which that the United States government was overthrown during the 2020 election. So, so we got a full whistleblower now that's like, telling us that there was a collusion.
Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley
This
just sent
so
this to me a little
happens
bit
to have a
ago.
last name Solomon.
Oh, yeah.
We're on air. It's a major development. You're taking a look at a letter right there that was just sent to the FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. What does it say? It says that Congress has obtained evidence that shows that the Biden White House was directly involved in trying to help start Jack Smith's investigation on the jail.
That's weaponizing government to try and take down a duly regulated freaking citizen human that wants to run for president.
That would be like the no more democracy, that's a little dictatorship-ish.
Could it be communism?
Oh, how much you want to frickin' bet that to do that, the money used to do it was also our tax dollars.
Yep. So if that drives you bonkers and grinds your gears like it does us, share it out, folks. I'm going to keep saying it, so you better do it. Share it out.
Share it. Give it a like.
God dang, that's ridiculous, dude. So, switching gears, that was the frustration part of the episode. We are now going to go ahead and downshift to then upshift. Just like the stock market. Sometimes you got to downshift before you can upshift again.
Yeah, the roads aren't straight forever. You got to hit them corners.
All of our Kai Guy fans just finally got how the economy works.
Oh, I get it now. And that is where you have to compare things. If you don't compare things metaphorically, physically, emotionally, you might just not. The brain is an interesting animal here. Not everybody's brain just sees the thing. When you show them the horse, they're like, what is it? Some people, if you tell them it's a horse, they're like, it's a horse. Sometimes they have to feel the shape of it and they understand it's a horse. The brain is just, you got to hit it from all angles, folks. Up, down, sideways, around the corner. Give it a Famunda.
Famunda! Not some of that Famunda cheese.
None of that, please.
Stories are, the operating system of our brain. So that's why analogies work, man. So, give that analogy out the next time you're talking to a car bro and he just doesn't get how the economy works and why Donald Trump's smart about this as a businessman. You can't take that corner in your, Supra doing, like 80. You're going to have to downshift a little bit to get around that corner and then upshift again and hit on the gas.
Yeah.
So now we shift.
I'm gonna save us some time and not try to go further into that because I got too many analogies that I could do with that one.
Nice.
Suspension, tires, drifting, all sorts of shit.
If you need a car guy analogy about how to explain all of our crazy conspiracy theories that you're into here watching this, folks, drop us a comment down below in the replay and ping Dan and ask him for that special analogy you need to get through to your homie car guy.
Yep. Some may call me the analogy master.
Only when his brain's chooching.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this goes to the turns out Donald
Ask me
Trump's
about trains, choo choo.
this goes to the part of the show where we explain to you how Donald Trump's not that bad of a guy. So Donald Trump pardoned a black woman, then he made her in charge of pardoning other victims of justice. So, like, please describe to me which part of that is racism.
I
So
thought
Donald
he
Trump
was
just pardoned
racist, though.
a black woman, a real black
I
woman.
went to prison in 1996. They sentenced me to life plus 25 years as a first-time non-violent offender.
And then he turned around and said, "You're now in charge of who gets pardoned."
Alice Johnson. She spent 22 years in prison. 22 years. She had another 22 years left. Can you believe it? You've been an inspiration to people. And we're going to be listening to your recommendation on pardons. You're going to go over and she's going to be my pardon czar. Okay? And you're going to find people just like you that should not have happened.
So you mean to tell me a person that's been mistreated by the justice system, really mistreated by the justice system, now gets to go look at other people who possibly have been mistreated by the same justice system and recommend them for pardons?
Bro, that's Trump's secret, dog.
Whoa,
like we
huh.
talked about on an episode or two ago, right? Where he's like Kash Patel was talking about exposing FBI, put him in. Hegseth was talking about exposing, put him in. Tulsi Gabbard.
It's almost like
her in.
he runs a lot of successful companies and he understands that's by putting the right people in the right places. And one of those key things is finding somebody that's
passionate.
There, you took the words right out of my mouth, and not just doing it for the money, which is, I don't know, probably what most all Democrats do. It's just if there's dollar signs coming out of it, they'll do it. If not, these people will do it if there's money or not.
That's why we feel we're losing our America, right?
Like America, people did it because they cared about these certain things.
Right.
Like obviously we all got to live, but a lot of people, they just want purpose in life.
Well, like heartless profitization is what we all don't like as the small little person.
Also, you're an empty person at the end of the day if you're not doing something for a purpose.
Right.
You won't have drive to do it when the things get tough.
Well, that's what's tough.
AKA somebody goes, hey, buddy, why don't you turn a blind eye to, possibly prosecuting me? I'll pay you a lot of money because, like, even though I'm hurting people, like, I know you'd like a lot of money.
Or if they're a naughty person, then you can put them in a blackmail, bro.
Yeah.
That's why, Mr. Donald Trump allegedly is like a goody two-shoe, bro, and they can't blackmail him into nothing.
Yeah. Or he's
What do you
just
know?
not scared of what, They
would have done it already, bro. They would have used it.
Guess what? We all suck sometimes. We're humans. We're sinful. Obviously, like...
He had a couple wives.
There's some things that, like, if you do some really crappy things, like,
Schmish murder someone.
There's some,
harm someone's.
there's
Jeffrey Epstein things.
Yeah.
Those are all bad things, homies.
Yeah. Those are things where, like, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, the people that are on purpose sinful are definitely not going to want that blackmail to come out. The people that understand, we're not all perfect, and somebody tries to blackmail them, and we're like, look, the people will understand. Like, I can explain myself because Hillary.
I was waiting for it.
I was like, what are you looking at behind me? I kept seeing it. I still got startled a little bit there. Ruffled my feathers.
Why is Dan always jumping when we do the Truther cast? That Hillary's popping up around his shoulder.
Because have you seen the evidence? She don't screw around, man. She holds grudges.
Have you seen the evidence?
Yeah. Wiener.
So,
Can't.
Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Bill Maher over here, man. Are you
stop
ready for
talking
this?
about Hillary before her ears start burning? And
So,
then
dude,
she
okay.
pops herself in.
Super touche, bro, because when this news we covered last week where, Kid Rock, Mr. Bob, they call him, when Kid Rock was wearing that amazing, Freedom America patriotic outfit, and we were like, holy crap, that's amazing, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna withhold judgment to not be a jerk ahead of time, but I doubt that Bill Maher comes out and says positive things about Trump. I bet you he's going to come out and spin it into some like, well, Trump's not that bad, but Trump hates stuff, right?
Well, he did in the lightest way possible. Like the only thing he really had to say about it at the end. Well, we're
gonna watch it. Yeah, barely at all. But I'm just saying, I'm glad I withhold my talking crap.
With President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute. So, thank you. So meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did. Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him? What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a fuck.
And you say, holy cow, he's like doing a real journalism stuff. He's reporting what really happened and being honest and not twisting it in a way.
The truth?
Holy shit, taki mushrooms.
Bro, they will not forgive him for this. The extreme Trump haters, bro.
And
they
guess
will not
what?
Forgive him for this.
They can go eat themselves in a corner.
I know, right, bro?
All by themselves and their little cult members and continue to be, well, I'm not getting attention. Well, like I can't just fruition that, Orange Man bad. Like, even though he's not, I just was told that he was bad. Like, so I'm continuing bad.
So, no, I didn't go MAGA. And to the president's credit, there was no pressure to. After we left the Oval Office, he showed me the little room off the office, the one where Clinton used to. Okay. The blowjob room. Okay. Well, not anymore. That's where they keep the merch now. It is. And he gave me a bunch of hats, but he didn't ask me to take a picture in one, which I appreciated. The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner shit-tweeted a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome someone to your house. But when I got there, that guy wasn't living there. Now, does Trump want respect? Of course, who doesn't? My friend said to me, what are you going to wear to the White House? I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to dress like Zelensky, I'll tell you that. Okay. Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. And I thank you for them. But, okay, example. In the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed, he got it. I said to him at one point, Mr. President, you know the dog, that's unusual in the White House. He said, well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons. I said, no, people love dogs, that's what that is. Oh, yeah, okay, that's true.
Like the normal human. Yeah, you're right.
He doesn't know everything.
Well, I was talking crap about all the other people that like Biden. So he didn't, probably didn't like argue with him about it, but I would have been like, bruh, nah, Biden had this dog literally just to try and look like some dog having person. And they kept biting people because they're terrible people. Like,
which is why Trump probably had that first in his head, because that was the most recent thing.
Right.
But then he's like, think about it. Reagan probably had a dog. JFK probably had a dog.
Right.
Yeah, people do actually like dogs. I never really thought about that.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Thanks, Bill. That's a good insight.
Yeah, that's like I'm not going to argue with you. Like,
I'm telling you what happened. At one point, we were walking through it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing, people whose response to things you say just doesn't track, like, what? None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so's mine.
there's some arf claps. Like, that wasn't that good, man.
There were so many moments when I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, well, obviously you're privy to things about it, I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out, because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium, and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in. I told him I thought parts of his plan for Gaza were wacky, but that I had supported him in the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of hell. I told him he was wrong when he tweeted the night before that I was critical of all things Trump. Not true. Check the tapes. Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far. Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports. Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany when Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, you're right, they took none. I said, well, you should remind your boyfriend in Saudi Arabia that the next time you see him. He laughed. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump.
I can't believe he's saying these things. I'm mind blown.
It's almost like Trump is just one of the bros.
Like a good person.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's in it for the people.
Yeah.
Went down, make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days. He was even okay when I checked him on the orangutan lawsuit. He was.
I forgot. That's the lawsuit that he sued him on. That we all thought that's what made Maher like a biased Trump hater.
Yeah.
I forgot that was the thing they sued him for.
No, he said to Dana White, you know, Bill said my father was an orangutan, and I really love my father. And I said, well, Mr. President, I did that because I didn't like what you were doing regarding Obama's birth origins. I thought that was low. Again, no anger, just a little smile as if to say, yeah, I get it. The most surreal part of the whole night was when I got home. I flew back right after the dinner, and I'm in bed watching 60 Minutes from the night before. And there's Trump in one of their stories, standing at a podium in a room that looked to me like one of the rooms and places we'd just been in. And he's ranting, disgusting, you're a terrible person. And I'm like, who's that guy? What happened to Glinda the Good Witch? And why can't we get the guy I met to be the public guy? And I'm not saying it's our responsibility to do that. It's not. I'm just reporting exactly what I saw.
That's what's tricky is you can't be too nice and blah, 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 you know,
Well,
not
you know
show
why that is.
firm backbone or, you know.
I'll tell you what the difference is right there. Bill Maher, they had a civil conversation back and forth. Bill Maher was actually, you know, showing that like, oh, I was
Respect?
yeah. While those people he was saying that to, they never showed him any respect.
Right.
So he's gonna tell it how it is. He's not gonna let them walk all over the leader of the most powerful country in the world and just first like man to man. You're just as we see with like the reporters, Marco Rubio trying to tell them with the El Salvadorian president, like, yo,
Bukele.
are you a dingus? Like, if you ask a bunch of stupid questions and come off disrespectful, and you do it time and time again, and he knows these people do that, that's all they do because he knows they're deranged. You're gonna get told like that. Like, yep, you are disgusting, you're a sick person. That is sick.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely bonkers amazing. I couldn't believe that Bill Maher was actually telling the truth and saying all those nice things about Trump. So, hey, good on Bill Maher, man. That's pretty cool, man. But, you know, his fans...
sounds like he's not bought.
Well, his fans and the leftists are going to be like, they got to him. Trump paid him to say all those nice things.
Oh, yeah.
It must have been a really good dinner. What'd he do? Give him an orangutan around? Rebel. Continuing this motif of turns out Trump's not that bad of a guy. We got a really cool story from John Rich here. Talking about how Trump was surrounded with yes men and, you know, kind of just needs some people to tell him some things sometimes, which seems like, you know, that might be one of Trump's strategies is to actually ask normal people questions and listen to them. So check this out, man. He's like a famous country star guy.
Yeah.
Not familiar.
We're sitting there and everybody's eating their food and President Trump is not president at this time, and he's talking to the senators. He's talking about really important stuff, and I'm just minding my own business going, I don't know how I got in this room. Well, okay. I'm sitting elbow to elbow with him. It's about an hour into dinner. I hadn't said a word, just been listening. And Trump gets through eating, and you've seen him do this move right here.
Yeah.
Wherever in the big boardroom he does this. Okay, that's what he does. He goes, can I ask you a question, John Rich? He never calls me John. John Rich? I look at him, I go, yes, sir. What's the question? He goes, well, you do a lot of big shows. Like, you're an entertainer? Yes, sir. You play for really big crowds? I go, I do. I play for really big crowds for a long time. He goes, well, have you seen these rallies I'm doing? Like, it's 30, 40,000 people. I said, yeah, it's unbelievable. He goes, so here's the question. Why are people booing me at my rallies when I bring up the vaccine? This is the question from the President of the United States. A guy who is very proud at that moment of the fact that he was able to stomp the gas pedal and get that thing out because he's under the impression this is going to fix the problem.
This is what many of us have griped and bitched about. But honestly, if you were in the room, welcomed into a dinner thingy, and he asks you that question, how would you deliver the truth to him, bro? Because I'd be a little bit intimidated. Like,
I mean, you
and then
just
you're
have to be
biased.
mindful on how you say it, but just like, I forget which author was teaching in one of the books that we recently read, but you just save face for him. You don't like come at him, like you just explain like what you've seen with how it went, and not like, hey, you did it, like no pointing fingers, just you let him know the facts and let him save face.
Right.
Which is AKA being respectful.
Right.
Operation Warp Speed.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a guy who, to his own admission, one of the biggest egos on the earth.
Yeah.
And he's very proud of this. And I respect him to, there is no limit.
Right.
But I'm being asked a very direct question. And so, man, I looked at him and I said, okay, I'm going to tell you the answer and you're not going to like it. He goes, okay, what's the answer? You're going to look at me like this? I said, let me start off by saying this. We, the American people, do not trust the people that you were forced to trust at the time when this was happening. Let's start there. And I said, by the people we don't trust, here's who I mean. The FDA, the CDC, the NIH, the WHO, Fauci, and all the rest of them. I said, Mr. President, we consider them to be a bunch of murderous, depopulationist psychopaths.
And his reaction.
You said that though? You said that though?
I mean, hey,
that's bold.
That's one of the most important things. Like, he asked permission first. Because he said, like, I'm going to tell you, you ain't going to like it. And Trump said, okay, like, if Trump said, like,
that was speak freely, sir.
You know, like, yeah, you're just like, hey, lay it on there.
Permission to speak freely.
That's a good way to start.
His eyes are, he goes, unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's stunned. No, he is stunned that I said that. I said, now, let me tell you why they're booing you. I said, because all of them, including me, I said, I would boo you. I would boo you.
Did you really?
You did not. I would boo you.
Really?
You said that
if you brought that up, and here's why. And he's looking at me, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the last time this guy's going to invite me to anything.
Yeah.
He's never going to call me again. I'm throwing massive shade on a former president's.
Yeah.
In his mind, one of his biggest accomplishments. And it dawned on me, nobody had told the man what I was telling him right now, because they all work for him. They all got something to gain from him.
Yes,
they're not going to tell him this because they're not serving him well. I don't work for him. And I think a lot of him, and I want him to understand the truth about it. So I said, here's the problem. Here's why they're booing you, Mr. President, because every human being out in that rally, either themselves or they know someone directly who has been harmed by the vaccine or has even died from it, including me. I said, I got members of my own family who were forced to take it against their will to keep their jobs, and now they've got all kinds of problems. big problems, heart problems, lung problems. And he's looking at me, and he looks around the table and he goes, "This is unbelievable." I mean, he goes, has anyone else heard this? Herschel Walker, he was
the man has so much going on. He can't know it all.
Yep.
And it's only if you speak up.
And he's in a guarded bubble, bro. Like, everybody can't get to talk to him and shoot the shit all the days and blah 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 blah. Like, you know, he's in a high up there wealthy bubble, and then the president. But
also, like, that man's got a harder work ethic than I'd say we do, probably.
Not worried about looking up our tinfoil hat theories on the Truthcast.
I can barely get to my own best friend's message chats because I'm just bing, 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 bing doing things. This dude does more than that. I can't imagine how he's able to do everything and then, like, where he can then go ingest the new information. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's why a man of that position hires advisors to do said things. As we know from the past, not all those advisors, you would say, were clean cut, had a clean background, weren't possibly paid or swayed by some organization.
Right.
They had initiative to steer a certain way.
And then there's people too.
And some people you just got to trust. And sometimes those people are either non-trustworthy, shady, or they're just unknowledgeable.
Right.
And because, again, we're not all perfect.
Right.
Like, we're not all knowledgeable.
And we're not all watching the Truthcast, you know? So, like.
That's right. Trump should just, Trump, you're really busy, but I tell you what, if every Monday,
2-3 hours a week,
Monday night, you just chime into this certain live cast, you might get a lot of awareness and realization.
Running for Senate at the time. He goes, "Mr. President, I mean, down in Georgia, my constituents come up at my rallies, and what John just said, man, I hear it every single day." Looks over at Marcia. Marcia's sitting there going, looks around the table, and then Lindsey Graham, who's sitting across. So you're here, or I'm here. I'm sorry, but you're Lindsey Graham.
Sorry, you're Lindsey.
Sorry.
It's Lindsey, everybody.
Okay. You're Lindsey Graham, and you're me. Okay. As I'm going into the part where I said, even in my own family, I have Lindsey Graham busts in with it swishing his Chardonnay around and said, "Mr. President, if you listen to conspiracy theorists like John Rich, the Democrats are going to take credit for what you did, and they're going to beat you in the next election with it." So I'm looking at Trump, and he's sitting over there, and he does that, and I looked at him, and I said, "Do not interrupt me when I'm speaking. Do you understand me?"
What? I like this guy. The balls on this guy. I like it.
You said that, though?
Hell yeah.
That guy's got like 14. You said that, though. So this one story with having Trump. That's crazy.
And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, I didn't mean to disrespect you." I go, "Yeah, but you did."
Oh.
So.
Hell yeah, dude.
Great night.
Because that's what the dirty Democrats always do.
Yeah.
They just step all over you because they think you're scum. You got to stand up for yourself. Got to have a freaking backbone, man. Ranter in chief here.
You look like Wyatt Earp. It's very intimidating.
Trump is right here. You're Lindsey Graham, okay? I'm holding him.
Oh, good. Yeah. You're Lindsey Graham.
I'll get back up as the president. I look at him one more time. I go, "Now, let me finish what I was saying."
Oh, man.
And then I finished it. Okay. Trump ended that by saying, "So I guess no more vaccine talk." I said, "I think that's a good idea." I said, "I think you're going to learn a lot about it." But yes, I think that's a good idea because that's the only thing that would make us ever boo you, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
you're right. I mean, that's one of the things that I think a lot of people didn't agree with him on, and that
We've been talking about this for, if you've been watching the cast, we've been talking about this for a long time. We have wondered because you don't really know, and now we got a decent idea on how much knowledge he actually knew about these vaccines. Like, because we're like, How does he not know? Like, he has RFK in his cabinet. Like, how Trump, do you think he's like watched all of RFK's podcasts? No, it's literally what they talk in person
Well, it was
about.
before. No, he was pumping that all before he even got super, super close with RFK. He was like an advisor before, but yeah.
Yeah, but like he might not have known like he might have known about like prior vaccines what RFK was, but RFK hasn't specifically talked about the COVID vaccine.
Sure.
And especially because that was probably on RFK's part because obviously like all these other people, they were afraid to say something because that might ding you getting into a better position because as we know, Trump did have a big like ego thing.
Self-preservation.
Like he was like, look, I did something great. Nobody else could have pushed this as fast as I could. He had a lot of so you gotta, that's where the emotional intelligence comes into like how you come at somebody to let them know like, look,
Right.
listen, you're very proud of it. I understand that, but like what you don't like, here's what you don't know. And that, and like how do you tell like the kid, something that they think is like great, like, listen, Billy, you're having a lot of fun here and everything, but I gotta let you know it's not good for your, the candy is delicious, but if you eat too much of it, you're gonna get diabetes, then your life's gonna be short. Like, I hate to tell you this, like, you love it so much, but I gotta let you know a little bit of bad news. Nobody wants to tell somebody some bad news that's gonna, make them a little sad. And so I can't imagine Trump. I am so glad now Trump has that little bit of knowledge, and now those wheels are turning on them 15 moves ahead.
Yeah, right.
Oh, he's making a playbook on how, because obviously
I hope he asked somebody to get him more info on that after this ordeal. Like, that's crazy.
Because like obviously he had the whole thing going with what's his face funding like the next like the vaccines that are supposed to be dialed directly and this and that. Like now he knows this. Now he will. I think that'll be very, very important and possibly like the most important step into his brain into knowing how to, one, as the guy was saying, like as Lindsey Graham was like, oh, the Democrats are gonna like
take credit for
like
COVID.
he, first off, Trump's a competitive guy, so with that, and then also with him standing up and telling Lindsey Graham to step the fuck down, bleep. Let one slip at least this show. Like, first, Trump respects how he did that.
100%.
Trump loves a guy with balls like that.
100%.
So he is now, I could just smell his brain. Took 2 and 2, and he's going to formulate a master chess strategy plan with how to just blow it out of the water. Probably set some traps out for some people.
That story was before he got reelected. So it's already possibly in the turnings,
That was before he got reelected?
Right, that's what he was saying. He wasn't even president at the time. Right, that's what I'm saying. So that's like, he's got the plans maybe even being enacted right now. We don't know it. Maybe that's why he hired RFK for a cabinet.
Well, that's probably okay. That makes sense. Everybody was wondering. Remember,
he stopped talking about.
Remember,
that, bro.
Redacted. They came out with one right after he got in there. Like, what's Trump doing? He had this dinner with but it wasn't publicized. That's probably why he didn't necessarily want people to know. Like, but he wants to hear out what their plan is, which is, just what I said, laying the trap out.
Right.
Like he wanted to. Now knowing what he knows, he is smelling the waters. Yep. He's fishing to see what people are possibly up to and their true colors with this.
100%.
Damn.
That's why he always lets people, like, he gives them enough rope to hang themselves, bro.
Damn, he's good.
That's what our bias looks like, right? I 100% agree. And then here's an example of this COVID.
You're
stuff,
watching me become aware with realization
in live in live real time. So is this legit, bro? Peer-reviewed study has confirmed that the conspiracy theorists have been warning what us conspiracy theorists have been warning for years. Pfizer's mRNA COVID shot is contaminated with not just bacterial plasmid DNA, but with SV40 promoter, a viral sequence that may interfere with how our genes function or even become part of our DNA. And so, of course, the the poo-poo on this one to steelman it for the community notes was trying to say that it's not actually a peer-reviewed study and there's no proof or evidence of this, but I didn't think it was very factual or helpful of sources. They just, they're not very legitimate, but that's bonkers. So some kind of a research thing, debatable whether it's peer-reviewed or not. Vigilant Fox on X, by the way, if you got an X account, this guy's banger, or this organization, whoever it is, they're like a small alt news organization. But if this is true, bro, this is bonkers, bro. Debatable whether it's peer-reviewed, it seems, but probably not. Crazy. We have made our very first published scientific evidence showing that the mRNA vaccine, Pfizer vaccines, are contaminated with bacterial plasmid DNA. What the F, bro? Bonkers. What did Pfizer know beforehand, bro? They had to have known this stuff, too, in my humble opinion. Or they didn't, and that's why it wasn't being tested on humans. And then emergency rollout was a horrible idea.
There's no way they didn't know.
It wasn't even being tested on animals yet, bro.
It's just
when we started pushing this out.
Like, they at least had to have an idea. They can't say they know for sure, but or as smart as the scientists know what to do with everything to formulate that, they would have known.
So they said raising the risk of accidental genome integration. In plain English, fragments from the vaccine could potentially alter your DNA. And that's what we were talking about weeks ago with the Japanese study.
We were talking about this. I remember I was at least hinting at this years ago.
That was our speculation, right? Yeah. And then we had the hard evidence of that Japanese study that showed that it did mutate DNA, and mutation leads to cancer
and possible zombies.
This is why we were booing at the vaccine talk, brother. Absolutely bonkers. Did I have another COVID one? Yeah, this one got mushed in there. No, there's another one. I thought I had one more. Yeah, here we go. So isn't it strange? Because the mainstream media usually loves scaring people to get more clicks and more views and eyeballs and stuff, right? So I wonder why they wouldn't be talking about the COVID vaccine and cardiovascular events and systemic review and Bayesian multivariate meta-analysis of preventative benefits and risks. First off, probably because they couldn't say all the words.
Big word alert.
So this thing is saying that there's a robust analysis that compared over 46 million vaccinated individuals to a massive unvaccinated control group of nearly 40 million people, and kind of strengthened the evidence of harm. So 85 million person study finds increased risk of stroke, heart attack, coronary artery disease, and arrhythmia because of, or maybe not, we don't know because of, but following the COVID-19 vaccination, folks. Robust analysis compared 46 million. Yeah, I said that part. So as each day passes, a new study is published that reveals the serious harms of the COVID-19 genetic countermeasures. They must be removed from global markets immediately. That's this guy who we're reporting on's opinion. So, hey, maybe we'll keep the video living on YouTube if it's possible and they're not, censorship, tyrannical dictators. We are not doctors. We do not give medical advice. We are just reporting the truthful news here, folks. So make sure if you do stumble upon us over on YouTube to come join us on the Rumble feed. That is the free speech platform. Come join us on the Rumble. You can find it very easily. Just type in Truth or Cast into the Google machine. Truth or Cast podcast will 100% work. Or just pull up Rumble. If you're not familiar with Rumble, it is the competitor to YouTube who lets us talk about things like this. So as long as YouTube still wants eyeballs and advertising dollars, they should probably just, let this video ride. But this is the reason why people would boo Mr. Trump when he talks about COVID vaccines, man. So is this real facts about the measles? Kind of like, following our not medical advice, but news information segment here. So this woman, I believe she was talking about this. So she said, funny how we never hear about the vaccine related measles deaths. Oh, but that's only on VAERS, which is the government, I forget what it stands for. It's like the government vaccine data medical organization or something, or department. CNN is a much greater resource, isn't it? Dr. Pierre Corey and myself personally viewed the medical records of the first supposed death, and clearly this child did not die from measles. She died from medical malpractice that missed her secondary infection with blatant errors. Call back to, like you said before, of how doctors will be like, oh, it was like, not this thing that actually killed you, or then they'll call it COVID, or how the dirty left was trying to say, oh, the Molly did bad things to him. Absolutely bonkers, folks. So the first child died of medical malpractice, not measles. VAERS reported these deaths of measles shot. And then she has a stat here where the blue are measles death and the red are measles vaccine deaths. If you're just listening,
seems slightly counterintuitive.
And what he means by that, if you're just listening, is the bars for vaccine measles deaths are very much taller by 2 to 10x, 2 to 8x, no, 5x, 2 to 5x, 2 to 5x taller than the actual reported measles deaths, and these are hard CDC VAERS studies reports results. This is from the CDC. 2 to 5x times the measles vaccine seems to be causing death compared to straight measles. That's abhorrent, crazy, bonkers. Ha! Back to the making me frustrated segment.
RFKs, save us all.
Good gravy, bro. That's where it makes us all like, some like anti-vaxxers or something, bro. Like, look at the numbers, bro. It makes me very questionable of vaccines. I thought some of them are good. You maybe need to take some if you're going to go travel abroad and there's diseases that your body's not used to.
I feel like if we understood our bodies fully and we had our immunity at 100%, the vaccines would be pretty much only needed if you ended up contracting the disease. It'd be like having an antibiotic for
Extra
infection
dose,
type of thing. Like, it's not a preventative beforehand. It's something to help, like, if it were to happen.
Not a
But-
prophylactic, they call it. Man, I want to know, man, are these numbers real? Because I hear people say it's bullshit, but like 1.6%. Only 1.6% of U.S. citizens owned slaves in 1860 when slavery was at its peak.
I would think that would certainly be pretty true because it was a rich thing. And
So-
as we know, the numbers still today are 98 and 2%.
So, like, should people stop basing their hate for an entire race based on 1.6%?
It depends who you ask.
That's kind of crazy.
You could almost say one of those sides must be racist.
And I'm not a big fan of the reverse racism term. It's just racism. Oh shit, here's another one in the medical segment here. Definitely got to help share this one out, folks. Big Pharma system sure doesn't want people to know that a particular monoclonal antibody has achieved 100% cancer remission without chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, or toxic side effects that come from those therapies that are used in traditional mainstream medical practices to fight cancer. This is bonkers, man. Dr. Andrea Serchek One of the lead researchers said, "It's absolutely incredible. We've certainly never seen this before. All 12 patients experienced complete rectal cancer remission after receiving dostarlimab and monoclonal antibody." Which, by the way, monoclonal antibody was a effective treatment for COVID-19. The particular monoclonal antibody achieved 100% cancer remission without chemotherapy, blah, 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 what we said before. Bonkers, bro. And our good friend Roman Belmakov here from the Facts Matters or the Epic Times, depends on which one you're finding him on. But Mr. Roman Belmakov brings this information. Very good channel to follow. But that's crazy, bro. Cure for cancer. Ain't going to hear about that on the mainstream TV. So if you know somebody with cancer, help them find somebody that's going to help them get this kind of a treatment, man.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor and watch them scoff at it or go, well, we could do that. Why didn't you bring that?
And if they have no idea what you're talking about, might want to consult another doctor.
Second opinion time, folks. And then we got one last one because, hey, we got a theme lately. We do the we're not medical professionals and we do not give medical advice segment. And then we got the we are not financial advisors and we do not give financial information segment. But my good friend of the show over here, Mr. Plan B, who's got the good Bitcoin information here, the trading information, folks. He says even with today's low Bitcoin prices, his on-chain indicators still signal bull market. So in his opinion, this is a normal bull market dip, not a transition from bull market, to the bear market, right? And he talks about it more in this YouTube video. If you're into the markets of cryptocurrency, you should definitely follow Mr. Plan B over here on the X, and then go check out his video where he goes into depth in this. But then we got a chart of him posting that we've showed a few times on the show here, folks. I got it printed out right here on my wall for, historical value. But it looks like, these price depressions are not necessarily saying, oh, it's all broken. So, not financial advice, but if I was somebody with some extra couch coins, I might buy a couple Bitcoins or
parts,
pieces of it.
I mean, I wish my couch had some change like that to buy a couple Bitcoins. That would be a lot of couch change.
A couple Satoshis, okay? A couple Satoshis. That's what they call a very tiny 1/800th. What's the eighth one down?
Hey, just
10,
a smidgen of Bitcoin.
1,000,
A
10,000,
wee bit is
100,000.
what I like to call a small thing.
Like
a
a
wee
million.
bit.
Funny side story talking about wee things. Did you know what the doctors used to call bacteria before they discovered it and then named it bacteria?
Nope.
Wee beasties.
Wee beasties.
What a cute name. They were
Yeah,
like,
what
that's not
cute.
scary enough. We got to call it bacteria, bro. But on that note, that's all I got for you, folks. We're pumpkining over here.
Yep.
Quick news roundup. Thanks for Niltamir hanging out in the live chat here down below. Very much appreciated. Very glad to see you. If you're hanging out here this long, I much appreciate you as well. Make sure to drop us a hello in the comments down below if you are watching this. Come join that locals.massdash.com feed. If you got a computer, I'd love to help you out. Check out the signup.toleratetech.com down below. Get yourself 10% off the very best computer technology support program with cybersecurity protection and, like-minded tech guy to help you out. So check out that signup.toleratetech.com down below. That'll help keep the lights on and, it'll get you some peace of mind in your computer and technology life today. But thank you very much, folks.
Yep. Some more awareness and realization has been dealt out. Yeah. Drawing a blank there. Only can think of one thing, and that is the bathroom. I'm going to explode over here.
So thank you very much, folks. We got a 2. We got a 1.
All right, all right, all right.